Hello. So today, feeling feeling quite a lot better, and you can hear my voice sounds getting back towards normal. Not as stuffed up in the nose. Still a little bit snotty. Still got a bit of a cough, but I have been testing negative for 3 days continuously now. So that's don't feel as tired walking around as well. So I'd say I'm pretty much over it. Um, these are three things I got a while ago. Well, not a while ago, about a week ago. I haven't actually. I felt like I haven't looked in any shops for ages, um, properly. Not just because I was sick this week, but I mean in general. Even before that, I'd just been so busy with work, and the shifts I was doing in the last month have been not really conducive to doing anything else in life. It makes it really hard to do anything before or after work. But anyway, uh, so it says here the date says the 27th of April. It wasn't that long ago. It would have been mid May. But anyway, so these first two are $1 each. The Chicken Little movie soundtrack, an original Walt Disney record soundtrack. So if I see a Disney soundtrack, a Disney animated movie soundtrack, I will generally get it. I've got a few. Um, Now I've never seen this movie, Chicken Little. Didn't actually even know there was a movie Chicken Little. They pumped out so many. There was one time there was a stage where it seemed Disney would release like kind of one animated feature per year. Like in the 90s, it was like Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast and The Hunchback of Notre Dame and Pocahontas. What was another one after that? They kind of it was I think it was about once a year. But then it seemed I don't know. Maybe they still do, maybe it is still one a year, but it seems and it feels like a lot more than that. And then I guess there are other companies now doing animated things that it maybe that kind of muddies the waters as to what is Disney and what isn't. Anyway, I never saw this. This came out in 2005. This movie apparently, and interestingly, well, not interestingly, but I saw that it had a budget of $150 million, which seems nuts for an animated movie. You'd think one of the pluses of animated features is that you're not having to pay for actors. Of course, you need voice actors, but surely the fee is not as expensive. And you're not having to pay for locations and you know what I mean? It's all happening in a studio, and nowadays it's all happening on computers. So I don't see how it could cost $150 million to produce an animated feature. That seems nuts. However, it made at the box office $314 million, which I know nowadays that probably isn't that special, is it? You know, movies are kind of almost expected to make hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more. Um, but that doubled its budget, and I'd never even heard of it. So that's pretty. That must be pretty good. But did they ever make any sequels? I don't know. Um, it looks like a pretty terrible critical reviews, but it says here. This is just interesting. I guess if you're interested in like Disney, this movie reversed the slump. I took it they mean commercial slump that the company had been facing since 2000, during which time it released several films that underperformed, most notably Fantasia 2000, 99, Atlantis: The Lost Empire 2001, Treasure Planet 2002. I remember playing the video game of Treasure Planet. Home on the Range 2004. I think Home on the Range was the last animated by hand feature that Disney ever produced. I think everything since then has been done computerly or digitally, or whatever you want to call it. Um, but yeah, it got 36% on Rotten Tomatoes with a average score of 5.4 out of 10. Usually a lot of these animated movies do exceptionally well critically. They the way that they target them at kids and adults at the same time, and they kind of appeal to both of them is quite a difficult thing to do, I think. But anyway, the actual soundtrack. What can I say? Looks in very good condition. I know the light isn't great in here. The sun is setting. I have to go out soon and pick up my wife from work because unfortunately we have car problems. But I did some tinkering today and kind of using my minor knowledge of mechanics to kind of diagnose a problem. I think it just needs a new battery, but you can't be sure. I don't have a multimeter either to check the voltage. You can't be sure, and I want to go drop hundreds of dollars for a battery without, maybe it's the alternator or the starter or something like that. But I just got to test it tomorrow and then hopefully buy a new battery and they'll fix it. So what do we got? Patti LaBelle and Joss Stone. But Joss Stone, you don't really hear much about her nowadays, do you? Bare Naked Ladies, the Cheetah Girls, Five for Fighting. That's another band. Remember Five for Fighting? You never hear about that anymore either. Diana Ross, Ain't No Mountain High Enough. I like that song. Who doesn't? It's the End of the World as We Know It by REM. Just last night I was listening to that. And when I was driving my son to school this morning, I was listening to that song as well. We Are the Champions, which Chicken Little was singing himself. Don't Go Breaking My Heart, the Chicken Little cast. So we've got a mixture of kind of songs, famous songs that had already been, classics like Ain't No Mountain High Enough and End of the World. And then also looks like kind of some newer songs. And then we've got the last 5 tracks from the score, which is always what I'm most interested in. I always like the scores, orchestral scores for movies most. That's why I buy these usually. So anyway, yeah, very good condition. Looks like it's barely been played, barely been touched, which doesn't really surprise me. Who would buy this? I can imagine the person who would buy this is someone who had a kid at the time, around 2005 when it came out, and they thought, oh, little Billy liked Chicken Little, we'll give him the soundtrack. And he was probably about 6 or 7 at the time, and he probably listened to it once or twice. And to be honest, kids are probably the biggest fans of Patti LaBelle or Five for Fighting. And so he probably listened to it a handful of times in 2005, and then by that time CDs were already going on the way out, and so I probably haven't listened to it for a good 10, 15 years. It's been sitting, gathering dust, and they thought, let's get rid of this. We'll take it down to the Salvation Army shop, and then I come in and buy it for $1. The next one, you see a lot of this kind of stuff in charity shops. See, this is also $1. You can't actually read what that says. I'll actually turn the light on. Circuit, Cantutita, music from Bolivia. Now, there's a lot of Andean panpipes, or the sounds of the Andes, or Incan panpipes, or the Inca pipes, or a lot of that kind of stuff. Because again, that's the kind of thing people buy on a whim. I think like a lot of people like the sound of panpipes, and so they'll pick it up. And usually I avoid it because it can often be very schmaltzy and cheesy. But this looks slightly interesting and kind of authentic, but also just even if I'd seen this in the same kind of the same thing another day, I probably wouldn't have looked at it twice. But the reason I picked it up and bought it is because while I've been sick for the last 2 or 3 days, I've been watching a lot of travel videos on YouTube of people in South America, Latin America, and so I've been kind of in that kind of mood, I guess. I've always had a soft spot for Latin America. When I was at university, a lot of my the papers I took were focused on. I think I learned Spanish, and I did a lot of Latin American culture, Latin American history, Latin American politics. Anyway, so again, the condition of this is very good. It says recorded, whatever that SAE, in Australia. So I don't know if this is like a Bolivian in Australia. We can see here something that kind of doesn't give a little hope to me. Maybe I wish I'd noticed earlier, is synthesizers. I really don't want to hear synthesizers in a Bolivian music, a traditional Bolivian music album. I much prefer just the instruments. It's probably going to be a little bit, I don't know, cheesy or ridiculous if it's got synthesizers in it. But anyway, it's $1. We can manage. Maybe it's a group of those guys who often play on the streets. I mean, like the 90s, there used to be like a traveling bands of like Peruvians and Bolivians playing their traditional music with the panpipes and those kinds of things. Cana, flutes, fututu. On just like, busking. And you would see them when you travel, you'd see them all over the world. You see them in London and in Tokyo and in wherever you were. These guys seem to, I'm not saying it was the same band, but it was kind of like I don't know, maybe the Peruvian government was behind it, or the Bolivian government, or Ecuadorian government, as a way of kind of cultural promotion. Anyway, and the last one, which I'm maybe most excited about, is a $2 one. This one's a little bit more expensive. Billy Joel, Street Life Serenade. Now, I've done a video about 2 months ago about my Billy Joel discography, and I've got quite a few of his albums, but I'm slowly trying to get all of them. And I found another one today, which I'm pretty happy about, not today, whenever I bought it a week ago. So Street Life Serenade was his third album, 1974. It was the one after Piano Man. And Piano Man was 73. This was 74. There he is. A youngish Billy Joel with a pretty impressive hairdo, Barnett. Street Knife Serenader, Los Angelinos, The Great Suburban Showdown, Root Beer Rag, Roberta, The Entertainer, Last of the Big Time Spenders, Weekend Song Souvenir, and The Mexican Connection. So this is produced in 74. Just see if it shows when the CD, 98. Okay, so this came out. So he had repressings in 98. Been remastered, it says, 24-bit digitally remastered. And, son of a... Features unpublished photos and complete lyrics. CD extra. What does that mean? Does that mean it's... Surely 98 was too early for one of those CD-ROM things. It's just the lyrics. What are they talking about? Photos. With the lyrics, and that's it. And that photo, is that what they mean? Or they mean... Maybe it is a CD, an enhanced CD, I think they used to call it. It doesn't say it is. I think that sticker is full of it. But anyway, so another album to add to that. Still got a lot to get. Still got to get Cold Spring Harbor, Turnstiles, The Stranger, Nylon Curtain, River of Dreams. But that's kind of just thinking about that just before. I kind of like that aspect of it. The working towards something. I know that, there's a few bands I actively am trying to build their whole collection. And I don't mind if it takes me a few years, picking up one here for 50 cents, one here for $1, one here for $2. And then, when you finally do it, it's kind of a sense of accomplishment. I got the whole Billy Joel discography by spending about $10 total. Or probably a bit more than that, actually. But anyway, so 3... Nothing really amazing. I see maybe that one I say is something I was looking for specifically. The other two are just kind of random pickups. Anyway, onward and upward, getting better and better each day. I'm going to go back to work on Monday, so yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching.